Check the mic and make sure it sound right.
How you doing? I'm DKWILL, and I want to talk about this because I've done some videos, lots of videos lately about XRP because that's the topic that really matters right now. Because I see it as an opportunity for a lot of regular folk, if they just listen and dive in, to really improve their financial standings in the not too distant future. So I talk a lot about XRP, but not just XRP. The crypto markets are a good place to earn your money, but you need to know where to go, especially when you're new to this. And so if you're new to this, you're going to have to consider who you're going to go to. Um, of course, I can toot my own horn, but what I can tell you is that I consider myself a paradigm whisperer. So I try to get you to come to terms in your own mind to do the right thing. And I share what I believe to be the right thing by talking about it. I want to talk about XRP didn't replace Swift, but here's what it did instead by the article by Andrew Kamsky. I'm going to talk about this article. It's a very extensive article. I won't cover the whole thing in the video. I can't and I won't because I need more time to talk about it than to read about it, right? But what I can say is I've done videos about XRP where there's going to be exponential growth, and I'm going to highlight a point made in this article compared to what's actually happened to show how quickly things could occur if you haven't yet got on board. All right. Ripple is going after all the money in different ways and different markets. I even did a video in the past where Ripple has 90% of the foreign exchange market covered. 90% of the largest market by far on the globe. That includes the debt market, the futures market, the stock market, the gold and silver market. If you can say market after it, the foreign exchange market is the biggest by far in the world. And guess who has 90% of the coverage? It's those kinds of facts that is going to do an exponential growth on this, along with what I'm about to share with you right now. Now, as I said, I'm not going to do the whole article. I am going to put it in the description so that you can go read it because it is very good article to read if you don't know a lot about XRP. Okay, right here's where we're going to go with. Ripple has portrayed XRP as a potential replacement for Swift's liquidity layer, calling it a modern bridge currency capable of capturing a significant share of global cross-border payments. CEO Brad Garlinghouse projected XRP could account for up to 14% of Swift's transaction volume within 5 years, underscoring XRP's role in global financial interoperability rather than as a speculative token. Now, here's the thing about it. Brad Garlinghouse said 14% within 5 years. That means 5 years or less, right? Yes. Now, the point I'm making is things are moving fast, and if you drag your butt, you're going to miss it. Because this article here shows that Swift transaction volume plunged 15% as Ripple's XRP ledger activity explodes in payment revolution. That's a July 18 article yesterday. Today is July 19. And this article says payment giant Swift has seen a significant decline in transaction volume, a new development that coincides with a surge in transactions on the XRP ledger. So did we accomplish that 14% already and maybe somebody missed it? If we did, the price of a Ripple XRP is going to have to go up quickly, very quickly. I'll explain why as we go along. It says the XRP ledger is gaining momentum as demand continues to surge, as evidenced by the increase in network activity, particularly the significant rise in transaction volume. Could it be that 15 missing percent over there at Swift? On the other hand, probably so, because Swift is experiencing a decline in transaction volume with a 15% drop recorded. Well, if they had a 15% drop, who picked it up? You get one guess. The development positions Ripple as a go-to platform with the capacity to enable long-term scalable utility and valuation. Additionally, the XRP ledger is emerging as a bridge between the traditional finance world and the digital currency ecosystem. Another reason I believe that acquisitions and mergers and purchases are going to occur with some of the other ecosystems out there, and it's going to give them instant value. Can you say AMP, boys and girls? Can you say Zbeck Network, boys and girls? Can you say a whole bunch of them out there that are going to be absorbed, purchased, merged, whatever. I like the way they talk about Vincent Van Code's thing. Notice they say, although Ripple has emerged as a strong competitor, especially after capturing 15% of Swift's trading volume.
Fox!
So they're speaking as if it's already happened. And notice how he says it, which I love how he says it. The big surprise will be when Swift announces it will use Ripple XRP as an alternative settlement for interbank payments. I don't think it's going to be a surprise, at least not for those of us who have our pulse on the pulse of Ripple, excuse me. You don't always have to destroy your opposition, just scare them enough to make sure that they play with you. I love it. And that's where we're at. So when it comes to replacing Swift, we don't know if they're going to replace Swift, but Swift is going to have to play with them. But see, either way, that significantly increases the volume that that Ripple is moving, oftentimes using XRP, if not the RLUSD, which will further feed significant exponential growth in the price of XRP. Otherwise, they'll burn it. Imagine the amount of monies moving between institutional liquidity, enterprise infrastructure, and interoperability with real world assets like real estate and things of that nature, the foreign exchange markets. Think of the numbers. Think of the numbers in money, currency, dollar bills, or whatever currency they're working in. Imagine how much money that is. So if they're going to use XRP to move it, they can't create a backlog because they run out of XRP to cover it, because this goes on to describe how it works, and I'll find it here for you. Here it is here, XRP in 2025, powering real-time cross-border payments with on-demand liquidity. Now here's where it describes and distinguishes the differences between XRP, Ripple, RippleNet, and the XRP ledger, which are used often interchangeably, but they are distinct. XRP is the digital asset designed for fast, low-cost transfers. RippleNet is their global payment network connecting banks and financial institutions for real-time settlement. Some of these transactions use XRP for liquidity via a service called on-demand liquidity. Lastly, the XRPL, the ledger, is the decentralized blockchain that powers XRP. Ripple builds on it but doesn't own it. Anyone can use or build on the XRPL independently. So with these roles understood, this is how Ripple works with the ODL. The ODL solution uses XRP to facilitate instant cross-border payments without the need for nostro vostro pre-funded accounts. The sender's financial institution converts local fiat currency into XRP. And that's what I'm talking about right there. You can't have a backlog of everybody converting it into XRP and not having enough XRP to convert it, no matter how fast XRP moves. XRP is transferred instantly across the XRP ledger to a partner in the recipient's country. The recipient's institution converts the XRP into their local currency and settles the payment. So you get it, for 3 to 5 seconds, they have to have $1 million worth of XRP if they're moving $1 million. But these folks move a way more than $1 million. Like Fire Marshal Bill. Let me show you something. This here. Now, I understand that Swift is a messaging system, but what we want to look at is how much money are they moving? Because remember, Ripple's going to take away the delays. They send the message about how much money is moving, and then they got to make all those messages bounce around in the banks or the legacy system, and then make it coordinate with the Nostro Vostro accounts. Ripple gets rid of all that by becoming a neutral transport vehicle for the money. Now, but notice it says Swift processes, forget the messages, an estimated daily transaction volume of $5 trillion based on historical data from 2004 and subsequent increases in message volume. Now, that's all I want to get out of that. Because here it goes on with some estimates suggesting the network handles over 10 trillion in financial transactions each day when considering the combined volumes of Swift and other financial networks. Now keep those numbers in mind. We got 5 trillion and 10 trillion dollars. And if you have to move 15% of $5 trillion, You're moving $750 billion a day. And if it's twice as much at 10 trillion, you're moving $1.5 trillion of money of value per day. Now keep in mind, XRP is not just for the movement of money. That being said, the maximum supply of XRP is 100 billion, and that's been burned down to the total supply now of 99.98 billion. Can you see how if you're going to make a neutral currency cover trillions, it has to be extremely valuable. Otherwise, they'll be backing up like a traffic jam, waiting for each, because this is where this matters. 44.8 million messages daily. 44.8 million messages. If XRP takes 3 to 5 seconds to take care of one message, how many are you going to fit in a day? Certainly not 44.8 million messages. So XRP has to go up in value to do just what it does. Now, that would also explain why maybe there's 10 quadrillion, which is 1,000 trillions, I believe. Yes, 1,000 trillions. But that shows why, if it ain't RLUSD helping it move, if it's XRP cannot be dirt cheap. It's like David Schwartz said, if you're moving $1 million and XRP is $1, it takes 1 million XRP, right? But if you're moving $1 million and XRP is worth $1 million, it takes 1 XRP. And to move the Swift volume, it can't be what it is now. There's another article that mentioned that. This video is going to be a little longer than normal, but I'm going to go get that article and show you what it said. That article's right here. Crypto's crypto reserve to make XRP the next big winner as XRP eyes $1,000 on the Swift replacement theory. This is an article from June 17, 2025. And Patrick Bet David, CEO of Valuetainment and host of the PBD podcast, made a bold prediction regarding XRP, suggesting that recent developments could trigger a significant price surge. Now, keep in mind, this article was from June 17th. The article with the 15% move says it's already happened. See, it hadn't happened yet in June of 17. It was probably happening, but it says here he highlighted XRP's potential to replace Swift, the global messaging network, which currently processes approximately 5 trillion in transactions daily, totaling 1.25 quadrillion annually. There's that quadrillion again for them RLUSD. He suggested that if XRP were to capture even 5 to 10% of Swift's volume, the price could rise dramatically. Analysts have speculated that such adoption could push XRP's market cap to 10 trillion, potentially elevating its price to $100 per token. In a scenario where they fully replace Swift, the token could theoretically reach 1,000. I say none of those numbers are big enough. But if you get the point of this video, XRP is eating a chunk out of Swift's business. Swift's volume is anywhere from 5 trillion to 10 trillion dollars a day. If you haven't bought your XRP yet, you better think of the other video that I did. And that video was entitled $1,972 XRP, Take Your Turn Before the Burn. The XRP burn. That's the thumbnail. I'm DKWILL. This is DKWILL Talk About It. Now, I've talked about getting off of your lazy butt and getting your XRP, and I'm going to say it with a relative confidence. You better get it before you can't get it, which is another name of another video. because of the systemic importance of it, because it's a public good, and because it was never designed for retail in the first place, and it's going to be moving trillions of dollars. And I've talked about it. Have a wonderful day.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right.